Welcome to the Toastmasters experience. My name is Evelyn. Get inspired by today's Toastmasters insights. Enjoy the show. Yes, and welcome to another episode of the Toastmasters experience. I'm here today with a friend of mine who is in Toastmasters, and I'd like to welcome Daryl to the show today. Welcome, Daryl.
Thanks, Evelyn. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. This show is all about Toastmasters sharing their experiences. So we're going to start at the beginning. When did you first join Toastmasters, and what motivated you to join Toastmasters?
Evelyn, I joined in 2015, and a lot of people have a story of I wanted to improve my public speaking, but mine is not that story. My wife, Candice, and we moved to a new part of Sydney, and I decided we should join some local club or activity. I wasn't fussy, let's just see what's out there. I Googled, and there wasn't much there, and then I saw local Toastmasters club within walking distance. I didn't know much about Toastmasters. It sounded fun, speaking, games. I really had no idea, but I just turned up. And I had a fantastic night, and that is how I got into Toastmasters.
Wow. Now, you just said games. Did it say games in the advert?
It didn't, but that's what was in my head. For some
Okay.
reason, I had this idea of theatre games. That's the only thing I could link it to in my experience.
Yeah, it's funny.
And there are no theatre games at my club.
No, I know. It's funny with the name, isn't it? Toastmasters. A lot of people have no idea what that actually means. How many clubs are you in at the moment?
I'm in two clubs. I'm in Botany Bay Toastmasters and Stage Time.
Okay, great. And we're in Australia. So for those of you who are listening, those are two particular clubs in Australia, New South Wales. Can you describe to me your very first speech experience? Like when you first gave a speech, how was that for you?
I gave my icebreaker speech pretty early on. I think I joined on the first night. And then I said, at the next meeting, I'm ready. And so they said, okay, we'll sign you up. So basically, it was my third time ever at Toastmasters, and I gave my icebreaker. I was really excited because I enjoyed speaking. I enjoyed giving speeches. I'd prepared speeches in high school and uni and other times. So I just really enjoyed being able to speak to a new crowd. And I was a little bit nervous at times, but overall, I found it really fun and exciting.
Can you tell me, what is your favorite thing to talk about? Do you have a favorite speech topic or a type of speech like humorous, or what do you like to speak about?
Well, you did pick it there, Evelyn. I love a humorous speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just something for me that's just I get so much satisfaction out of making people entertained and making them laugh. I'm not a natural stand-up comedian or anything like that, but I love to tell an entertaining story and get people really into it. And having those little twists and turns in the story and getting that really loud, sudden laughter, that is really one of my highs that I get out of Toastmasters.
Yeah, and I know that last year you did compete in the humorous. How did you go in the humorous? What level did you get to?
Well, Evelyn, up until that point, I hadn't done very well in contests. So you've got the 4 levels. It starts at club and then it finishes at district. And I'd never made it past the 2nd level. Last year, I'd had this speech I'd been working on for a couple of years. And I thought, I'm going to save it till the time is right. Last year was the right time. And I managed to get all the way to the 4th level at district. I was just happy to be there. And then I think part of it was I'd prepared so much. I enjoyed giving the speech so much. I was lucky enough to get 2nd, and that's one of my 2 biggest achievements in Toastmasters, and I'm really happy and proud. And every time I see that trophy on the mantelpiece, it makes me just smile.
Yeah, so you got 2nd in district in
Yes.
humorous. So there's 4 different competitions. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so we have evaluation, and we have table topics, humorous, and international speech. Now, with those 4 different, would you call them speeches? I guess they are speech competitions. They finish at district. The only one that goes further is the international speech. So you made it to the district humorous, which is the very last for that competition. Is that correct?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's correct. So with competitions, people either like to or they don't like to compete. Do you actually like to compete?
I do. At first, it was a struggle for me because something happened and I just couldn't progress, or I think I was actually getting nervous in the preparation. Just something wasn't quite working for me on contest day. But then as I got more experience, and it was actually joining stage time as a advanced club that just helped me turn the corner and be able to have that little bit more confidence in my material, and I was able to progress. So yeah, it's a journey. I don't think anyone can ever expect to win contests on your first year in Toastmasters. But
Yeah.
once you get there and you're on the right path, it'll come.
I mean, even just competing at club level can be very nerve wracking. And, then you go on to area, then division, then district.
The advice that I give other people and I give myself is you just go in the contest for yourself, and it is a cliche, but you just do your best and be happy with your speech, and whatever the results are, that's what they are.
Yeah.
And if you're happy with your performance and you got some laughs or you inspired some people or you gave some really good feedback, that's where the win is.
And yeah, that's where the growth is. I wanted to talk about leadership because I know that you have taken on different leadership roles. And I think people, when they think about Toastmasters, they don't realize how many leadership opportunities there are in Toastmasters. What sort of leadership roles have you taken on board?
It's interesting you asked that because I have thought a lot about leadership and what it has done for me in Toastmasters. And I remember when those first few meetings, I was looking at the person who was the chairman, and that's the leadership role I wanted to do first. And that's for a single meeting. And I really enjoyed that. My club did need a treasurer, so I got convinced. Well,
Yes.
happily said yes, but then I became a club officer. So there's, around 7 people in each club, and they sort of organize things in the background. So from there, to be honest, I've always been involved in leadership at the same time as being a speaker and progressing on my speaking path. I think for me, the first time that I really had a great leadership experience was when I became an area director. And that's when I went outside of my club. I'd seen other clubs, but I'd never been to another club. I had no idea what other clubs were like, if they were all just carbon copies or if they were also different. But I really enjoyed my year as an area director, looking after 4 clubs. I've made some really great friends outside of the club, and it's just really grown from there.
And how long were you in Toastmasters before you actually took an area director role?
It would have been 6 years.
Okay. And before that you took on club roles. What sort of club roles did you take on?
Treasurer, secretary, vice president of education, president. So I went through all of the main club roles, and that was really good and very satisfying.
What is the club level executive role that helped you to be area director? Which one do you think is probably a role you really do need or will help you to be a better area director or division director?
I will honestly say vice president of education, because that's where you really get into the core of the club. It's putting together the agendas, it's organizing all your club members, helping them progress on their own path. It's the role where you learn the most, and everything you learn there, you apply in your year as area director. So I think if you can do your year as vice president of education and you enjoy it, then you're ready for area director. President is another good role to do. If you wanted to follow a really good path, I would suggest vice president of education when you're ready, president, and then move on to area director. That's a really good progression.
Okay. So with area director, you said that you had 4 clubs that you were in charge of, or you just made sure that they were doing okay and making sure that they were finishing their projects. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. It's like you just visit a couple of times a year. You come and they invite you to be the chief judge at their contests. You just basically making sure they're doing everything they're supposed to do as a club, ticking all the right boxes, and you're there as a contact between the club and the upper levels of Toastmasters.
Mhm.
And it's really, you feel like a VIP, to be honest. You walk in and they're like, oh, it's our area director. And it's a great, it's a great feeling. I mean, it's a lot of work, but you definitely get a great experience walking into every club as an area director.
Yeah. Now, another thing that you have recently achieved, and I think that probably is the number one award that you've gotten within Toastmasters is you tell me, what did you get last year?
Toastmaster of the Year.
So, how do you get Toastmaster of the Year?
The thing about Toastmasters of the Year is you can't have an official district role, for example, an area director or a division director. Once you take on that role, you can't be Toastmaster of the Year. So they're looking for people outside of the regular leadership roles that are going over and above. For
Wow.
me, I had experience and I had enjoyment in helping to run hybrid contests. So I did go around and I was helping out as Zoom host at a lot of different contests and just seeing where there was somewhere where I could make a bit of a difference across the district. And it was a busy year, but I really enjoyed everything I did. And I think that was pretty much it. I wasn't doing things against my will. I was very happy to
Yeah.
volunteer. And yeah, again, it was a really satisfying year for
Yeah.
me.
So how do people did people vote you in, or how does that work? Were you recognized from somebody, or how does that actually work?
Well,
In
it's around this time of year that people can nominate other people for Toastmaster Year, and that's all it is. People get nominated, and then the district director and his team will then look at all the nominations, and then they will vote amongst themselves, and that's it.
So in all the districts in the world of Toastmasters, so that was for District 70, you got Toastmasters of the Year, and then so District 90 there's a Toastmasters of the Year. And it's named at the annual conference, is that correct? Or when is that actually named?
It's the awards night, which is usually around September, and so that'll be for the previous year from July to June.
Okay. 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 Yeah. So that's something common that Toastmasters does as well. It recognizes Toastmasters of the Year in each of the districts around the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Because I've never gotten it, so so I wasn't sure how it worked, but I knew that each district someone would be nominated as Toastmaster of the Year. What is something that you have learned from Toastmasters that has actually surprised you?
I think the number one thing I've learned is public speaking is like a muscle that needs to be exercised. I've come across people before in work and they seem to be good speakers. And I'll say, oh, how did you become a good speaker? And they say, oh, I did this course when I was in my 20s. I said, okay. But my own experience is you need to keep at it. And something like Toastmasters, where you're meeting twice a month and getting that speaking practice, that's how you become and stay a good speaker. I've seen it so many times. Even just you might have someone who is following the leadership track in their own club and they're making sure that all the other members are getting the speaking roles. And then they suddenly get a role on a night and they'll say, oh, I feel really rusty. And that might only be a month or two that they haven't given any speaking roles. So for me, that's what I've really enjoyed seeing. And it's been an eye opener that you do need to keep at it. You do need to practice. And if you don't keep speaking, if you don't practice your public speaking, the skill goes away.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't use it, you lose it. Like everything in life, isn't it? It's so true. It's so true. So when you're giving a speech at Toastmasters, how does the feedback work?
The feedback is a really important part of Toastmasters, and it is actually a little bit scary at times because for a lot of people, they may not have received direct feedback on things like the way they present a speech since high school. The way it's done is the evaluator would do it in a very supportive way. So it's about saying what you did well, how it could be improved, and then what to focus on for the next time. It's really great because everyone loves to hear nice things about themselves.
Yeah.
But if you only hear nice things, you're not really learning. So when it's packaged up like that, you hear some nice things, you hear things that could be better, and it's not you did badly. It's just this was good, but it could be better. And so what it does, it just keeps you going and it motivates you for your next speech to work on the things that could be better. And when you give a speech, there might be 100 different things that you could possibly work on. So you just focus on the 2 or 3 things that are most important for you to take that next step. And so I really love receiving feedback, but I love being able to give feedback in that really constructive way that makes someone feel happy afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. Because it'll do no one any good if you're deflating a person. There are ways to give really positive feedback of a speech, and that will help the speaker to become better.
That's it, exactly. And I think the important thing as well is to make sure that people remember you're analyzing the speech and the presentation, not the person. And so there'll be phrases like, I felt that, or my reaction was. So those are things where you say, this is my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but this is how I felt about your speech.
Right. Every time I go to a meeting, I feel like I learn something. If not about myself improving, it's just learning from other people. Like when they tell their stories, it motivates me and it actually makes me proud when someone does really well. When you see how they've started to how they've grown as a person. And yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I agree with you, Evelyn. And when you become an experienced Toastmaster, you get to experience it again as a mentor, as you see brand new members go on their journey. And you're exactly right. As you see them grow, you get to enjoy and experience the same learning journey.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Now, my very last question before we come to the end of this interview, it's been such a pleasure, Daryl, to have you. But what advice would you give someone who is considering joining Toastmasters?
My main advice is you have to give it a go. You look up Toastmasters on Google and it'll show you your closest clubs. You make contact, go down, sit at a meeting. You'll definitely enjoy it. There's no pressure to speak on the first night. It's all voluntary. I'd also suggest for people to try a couple of other clubs. You might drop in at 2 or 3 clubs, just pick ones in your area, and then you can decide which one you want to join. There's absolutely no pressure. Every club is always welcome to have guests. And then once you decide, I like the feel of this club, then give it a good go. I think you've really got to give it at least 6 months to really get the Toastmaster experience and know if it's for you and if you're going to enjoy it and if you're going to get learnings out of it. I 100% think everyone can and will and should.
Yep.
Because I've got so much out of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me here, Evelyn.
Okay.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for your company. Please tune in next time to the Toastmasters Experience.